Welcome to the Solar Coaster, a renewable energy themed talk show right here in lovely Maui County. Well, aloha and welcome to the Solar Coaster live show here, 2021 in May. Are we in May? Geez, it's an exciting time because I'm here with Garrett Marrero of Maui Brewing Company. So excited to talk to you because we've been working on this project for a couple of years now, my friend, and this is some cutting edge technology. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Yeah, I'm glad to still be working on the project and getting close to completion. Obviously last year threw a huge loop for timeline, but we're back on top. So.
Now what we're talking about today, of course, when people interview you, they're probably talking about all the cool things you do with beer, about this Maverick company that you created here in Maui, about all these great things that you're into with distilling now and all that. But what we're looking at is something called PVT, which is photovoltaic thermal, specifically provided by a company called Sundrum. And I'd like to start out by just talking about some of your renewable energy efforts up until this point. Of course, I know what they are, but let's share them with everybody that's watching.
Sure. So, our company is founded on a lot of foundational principles that are, authenticity, integrity, and sense of place. But on top of that, of course, is sustainability. And for us living here in Hawaii, manufacturing, bringing in ingredients, we have a decent carbon footprint. So we felt it was always our responsibility to reduce that wherever possible. So we started looking at not only, things like to reduce energy consumption. As we became profitable, we were able to invest in things like photovoltaic, solar thermal, CO2 recovery, and then now with, of course, PVT, that's combining those two technologies together. With the goal being not only the sustainability, the marketing, the fact that we're doing things the right way, but here in Hawaii, it actually does have a direct contribution to ROI, and a pretty significant one. Especially last year with COVID, not having an electric bill for a good part of the year was pretty awesome. That saved us $50,000, $60,000 a month during the times when we weren't really producing. So it was helpful.
It's amazing how substantial that electric bill is on your P&L, right?
Yeah.
It's a huge portion. And actually talked to Russell, your CFO, a little bit about some of those things and how they were shifting around during the pandemic, which I found to be fascinating.
Yeah.
In terms of the contribution of, for example, your demand charges versus your actually energy consumption, because of the way these billings operate here in the island. So we're going to get a chance to talk to Mike Interieri, who's the CEO of Sundrum, a company that manufactures, designs, invented the PVT system. But I'd like to, and he'll be able to walk us through all the tech and walk us from this. It's really an interesting kind of setup. I mean, you've got a 987 or so kilowatts and just shy of a meg, as I understand it.
I think DC, right? Over a meg AC. I always forget the conversion.
Probably over, maybe it's over a meg DC and just under AC or something like that. And you've got a solid meg here of electric energy generation through photovoltaics. You have them on roof, and you also have a carport in the back, which we're going to get some shots of. You have DHW, domestic hot water, commercial scale. That was part of this project, actually implementing that. Pretty substantial. And then you've got this meg of PV, and then right in between it, kind of perfectly juxtaposed against these two technologies, the 100-year-old domestic hot water and the last 50 years of evolution of photovoltaic. You have this hybridization, both PV and thermal working together. So we're going to get some shots about that. But let me ask you this. What was it? I said, I have to do something like this.
I think being a leader in technology driven kind of decision making, I think that's something for me that's really important is, we look always at the new technologies out there, and if they're applicable, trying to be on the front lines of that. We know we're probably going to pay more, we know we're probably going to have some headaches with it, but it's really exciting for us to be part of the development because we're trying to show that we're willing to take the risk, and we find good partners like yourself and Sundrum to bring those technologies to light. And I think when you put it against the landscape of the brewery and the marketing perspective, it's super exciting because we have an audience that love our beer and love what we do here, and we're able to teach about technology and sustainability through the beer because we have their attention. So I think that's one part. But I think from why PVT, for me it was that I know that solar panels are going to generate more electricity when they stay cooler, right? That's a fact. So if you can keep that panel cooler through a chill water loop or something, then you're going to produce X% more energy from that same panel, which is highly beneficial to us.
Optimizing what you already have.
Optimize what you already have. Now, if you're cooling something, whatever media you're using to cool obviously is picking up heat. Where does that heat go? And it's like, oh, cool, water. And so I remember thinking about this more than a decade ago, that someone should do this. And then when you came and brought SunDrum, I was like, I knew it, and so it was a perfect fit.
I remember the moment, actually. We were doing a radio show together. It was in studio, and Mike had been a sponsor of the show. He was helping support the show, get it going. And you heard his commercial.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait a second, what is that, Josh? On air. I have the episode. And I was like, that's SunDrum, man. It's really cool technology. And you're like, whoa, I thought about that years ago. So I remember you saying that. Well, what's exciting about that, for people that are just kind of getting a sense of this, what you were able to take that heat and run it through a heat exchanging system, and then we can do what we want with that hot air, cool air, hot water, cold water. And you've got a lot of needs, you have a lot of thermal needs in a brewery, right? So what are some of the types of applications that you have for that hot water, for example, or that thermal output of the SunDrum system?
From like the DHW, from the hot water side, we use an enormous amount of hot water, not only to make the beer, but even more hot water to keep things clean. So the amount of hot water we use to clean and sanitize things is enormous. So using a boiler, which is a propane-fired steam boiler, in order to heat water is highly inefficient when you can be using the sun that's just cooking our building all day. So that's number one here. But we were running up against a cold water supply issue. So the ability to take the heat generated from SunDrum and create cold water from that, but it happens. You get super hot water to make cold water. And the more cold water we have, it allows us to turn our brews that much quicker, especially things like Bikini Blonde Lager, Pauhana Pilsner lager beers that have to be brewed and fermented a little colder. So we need a lot of cold water.
You've got thermal needs on both sides of the fence for cleaning, and then also for process to get to brew more beer.
Yeah.
And what I love about SunDrum is that it takes a PV panel, PVT in general, but it takes a PV panel that maybe you'll get about like 15 to 20% efficiency, depending on how honking the tech is, right? And then it cools it down and it optimizes what that individual panel, whichever kind it is, can do. But then it takes proportionately something like 3x the amount of therms out of that. So what you're getting like 60, 70, 80% efficiency now, because all of that thermal energy that would be otherwise completely wasted. And when you think about it from that perspective, it's kind of bonkers. It's like everyone's got PV, including myself, probably you on our homes, right? And like 2/3 of the energy is just sitting out there in heat, right? So this is an opportunity to take all that energy, it's just saying, work, use me, do something with me, and make it far more efficient. And that's what's so cool about PVT and SunDrum and thermal heat exchanging systems in general. So I'm excited to go take, first of all, every time I come in here, I want to drink beer. I'm doing keto right now.
That's what we designed it for.
I'm trying, I haven't had a beer in months, but I'm going to have one today. So I'm excited about that.
I think our seltzer might be keto.
Is that right?
Sugar.
We'll check that out.
It says keto as you can get, I think, for alcohol.
So we're going to get a chance now to walk through and look at some of the actual equipment and better understand maybe where that thermal energy is being applied and used inside directly from you with a guided tour. So you ready to do it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think just one more thing to point out. I think as much as we invest in sustainability and energy generation, it's really important. Your first step is always to reduce your consumption, right? So we try not to waste energy just because we produce it on site, because we always can use more. And I think as we talk about PVT, it's exciting to get into what the thermal does, but without, can't ignore the fact that we're actually producing more PV energy. So more electricity is a byproduct of all this extra energy we're starting to take from the thermal side. So that's just really important, because as we grow, we really want the world to see not only what we've done, but what they can do to do their part to manufacture more responsibly as well.
I love the way you put that. I often, when I think about the renewable energy industry, I call it the new energy economy. There's so many siloed areas and facets, and that when you bring two things together, I constantly say in conversations, I go, 1 + 1 = 3 in the new energy economy. It's when these two things work together that you get something totally new out of it. You get optimized electrical energy, you get all this new thermal that you were just kind of leaving up there to go. No one's to leave energy on the table. You grab that energy and use it, especially in a brewery where you have all these thermal needs. So I love the way you put that. I'm 100% on board.
You got to look at the waste first. Not only from consumption, but literally, where are you wasting? Where is their energy just blowing off into the air somewhere? Try to find that, and if you can isolate it, then you've got a winner. So,
all right, rock and roll. Let's check this brewery out.
Sounds good.
Okay.